Nika from yourmindfullife.com. And I say that right up front because you're going to want to know how to find Tonika after we talk today. Tonika, you're a spiritual mentor, a mindful coach, transformational life strategist, consultant, business, personal, family, and couples. You have just a multitude of hats. I'm skipping all the way down and then I'm going to go backwards. That's just my brain today. I always ask my guests to give, to say, what 3 questions do you want me to ask? And I love your questions because it was who I am, what I do, and why I do it. And I've been doing this a long time, and no joke. I mean, seriously, no joke. Those were you're probably like my most favorite questions. Because I thought that's just it. That's the essence of an interview. It's the essence of when you say to someone, I guess, if we're dating, tell me about yourself. So I'm going to start there, and you have a beautiful bio, but I am going to start with my first question. Who I am. Who is Tonika?
Well, I like to think that Tonika is a chameleon. And it's so funny because I believe that my purpose is to serve. I believe we all have a purpose and a calling to do something in life. And I just feel so compelled when I am doing something that is helping others. And it could sound selfish, I guess, because that's what makes me feel like I'm doing my part. And it makes me feel good when I see somebody else succeeding. I don't know. It's weird.
I call that sometimes the good selfish.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I think we sometimes use selfish as a negative. And so if we have to, I stick the good selfish in there because that's beautiful. And I think that it feeds your soul by helping other people. And it helps the person you're helping, but it feeds your soul. And that's beautiful. And so what do you do to do that?
Well, what I have learned to do is listen. It's so funny because I'm an only child and I have always been really imaginative and creative. And so I would always have these conversations with my dolls and I would interview them and I would talk to them. But as I grew up, I always would ask people what they do, why they do it, and how they got the opportunity or chance to do it. And so I was always inquisitive about those things, why people do the things that they do or what positions they're in and what it took to get in that position. And I didn't even realize what I was doing until I started this podcast last year when I came up with those 3 questions. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And that's what we need to understand, who we are, what we do, and why we do it. And so I feel like being able to empower and encourage other people to understand that it's not just you or I that they see that are having interviews, they can do it too. What is inside of you that you can offer the world? Because we all have something. We just maybe don't know how to tap into it. And I'm really good at insight of being able to see people's talents. And it's I guess I would call myself weird, like in this aspect that I just want to bring those talents and pull them out of you and see you excel in it.
Yeah.
And so I get excited about helping other people see their dreams come to fruition.
I love that. When you're working with someone, who would be someone you might, be working with? What kind of people come to you?
Myself. And this is what I learned myself, because I've been in positions where I've had these great ideals and I've had these aspirations and these things, and I'm trying to get to a certain place or figure out certain things, but it's like you can only go so far, or people don't want to share certain information with you, or and I get it. I get the reason why, but at the same aspect, I think that sometimes people are overlooked because of who they are or where they come from. And they might not be given an opportunity that they otherwise might get if they were in a different position. And so I understand what that looks like. I feel what that looks like. And those are the people that I want to help.
God, we got to break those We got to break those barriers down. And I love
Yeah.
that. In this last year and a half, I think um, we're becoming more mindful,
Oh yeah.
but we're not necessarily moving the needle necessarily as fast as many of us want to. I think that's the impatience in us. We want to move the needle. We want to move it quickly, and we need to, but we need a lot of help to move that needle. And
Absolutely.
we need to be more mindful of helping and being kind and doing that in all aspects of business. I've been fortunate in this time to talk to so many people, and I'm so blessed that I hear that from people, that it's about looking at who's in front of you more,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and tapping into who they are and what they're about. I think we'll be a better human race when we do that.
Yeah. I, th- I think the understanding of people and their stories, it's like when you meet a stranger, they're a stranger, but as soon as you have that conversation and you learn something about them, they're no longer a stranger.
Right.
And you feel more aware of their presence.
Mhm.
You feel more inviting towards them. And it doesn't matter who it is. It's so funny because I'm just going to put this out there. I watched this interview on Jeffrey Dahmer, and it is the strangest thing. But at the end of it, the things that he was saying, because after all the horrible things that he done, but what he said at the end that was really impactful is God knows who he is. And he can be forgiven just like anyone else. And that right there compelled me because I'm like, he's so right. At the end of the day, that's his relationship. It's not for me to judge, but it's for me to understand. And the way he told his story and why he told his story, it didn't make my heart go out and say, oh, they need to set him free at that time or whatever. It just
Mhm.
made me see the human side. And I think that most of the time we overlook that and we don't see people. We perceive
It's
things,
so
but we don't
interesting
see.
that, to look at the most sort of despicable type of person. So, you're taking the most sort of horrific type of person and breaking that down to see not the good per se, but what makes someone tick, what makes
Absolutely.
someone, what is their essence. So if we would only use that decency with the people we work with our own family, with,
Mm-hmm.
we would, I mean, that's such an interesting dichotomy of, someone who's in essence not a good person,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to
I mean,
where to where it really in life there are very good people. Yeah,
yes. And that's
that's
the thing. We can all get categorized into these groups or these situations. Like I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she's just like, "Oh, I did this, and now I'm horrible." And da, 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 da. And I think about that. I'm like, "Yeah, no, you don't even know the half of it. You have not done
no, maybe
anything."
maybe the action wasn't good, but you
That
yourself
part.
are not.
You are not that. And so you cannot label yourself and say these things against yourself because you made a mistake or you messed up or you didn't pass the test that thought you should have passed, because there's way worse things that could be going on and you can be forgiven for that. But the thing is, you have to understand what it is that you've actually done, take accountability, accept that. And I call that radical acceptance. Accept who you are. If you're a bad person, then guess what? That's what you are. Embrace it, accept it, whatever.
Mm.
But you can't be running around fooling people and sneaking and pretending to be one way, because the truth is always going to come out. But when we see the core of people and we understand, well, what happened? Because that person wasn't always an adult. They didn't just get that way overnight. What was the journey that led them there? And
Mhm.
whatever the journey is that led them there, because children, you love them, they do crazy stuff all the time.
Yeah.
As they grow up, it could get worse, but you try to model those behaviors and you try to restructure them. But at the same time, you forgive children over and over and over again. But that adult, you have to remember, was once that same child,
Yeah.
and
Very
what
good.
happened,
Yeah.
and what do we need to look at that we can do differently instead of shunning people or making people feel that they're not good enough or they aren't in the right zip code, or they don't have the right last name or the right titles. No, we all, at the end of the day, all have a soul. Hopefully,
100%.
And we can be forgiven.
If somebody's working with you, what's the process of sort of breaking that down? And you can find Tonika at yourfullmindlife.com, and it's in my description today. So I want people to find you, because you are just so motivational. So you're a truth speaker. I like, authentic. And
but sometimes people get scared of that, and I think I scare some people away because they're not used to people being kind and wanting to help, because it's usually the opposite. And so whenever I'm working with anybody, the first thing I want to do is get them to know who they are, because 9 times out of 10, 3 weeks into it, because it takes about 3 weeks to unfold some things, but 3 weeks into it, it's an aha moment of, okay, now I see, I get it. Because most of the time we have these ideals, we just don't know how to put them into view and to have a direction. And so just like someone that wants to start a business, they have all these business ideals, but they don't understand what it takes to run a business. So we've got to get the mind of understanding of, no matter if you run the business or not, who are you at the end of the day? And what are you bringing to the table?
And do you think, we often say people don't change, do people change?
You know what? I think that people are who they are, but they have to understand who they are, accept who they are, embrace who they are, and then bring out the good parts of that. Because I do believe that there is change, but it's how you perceive it. Because you can have the same lifestyle, you can do the same thing day to day to day. But if you get up and you feel like, oh, I just got to go to work. But if you get up and you go, you know what, I'm so excited to go to work. It's all about how you view it, and
it's
how
your
you
mindset, the mindset.
That's it. And that's what we're here to do, transform the mind.
I love that. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you've had a busy morning. I see those raindrops. You're not in Michigan, but as we talked about, we are soaking wet today in Michigan. And what I love is that I feel like you brought sunshine to my morning. I feel like you bring sunshine to uplift other people, and we need that. And so if I can just say, please keep doing what you're doing. I have a tagline that says, you do you. And I really believe that. But I think, I say you do you, but what you say is that you got to know who you are. Yeah. And so, definitely keep doing it, because it is inspiring. And I'm so glad we got, to have a few minutes together today.
Me too, because I'm so glad that today is today and not yesterday. But I leave you.
Yeah, yesterday I wasn't around, so
I'm glad we made it today. But my tagline I always say is, you were created with a purpose. So go be great.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to leave it there. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Many blessings to you. Bye-bye.
And you as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.